What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. Shout out to everyone already in the chat. Shout out to homie Jim. Jim, I got your email. Just today's been busy. It's actually Thanksgiving up here in Canada, so shout out to Upland Canada because they know exactly what I'm talking about. It's currently Thanksgiving, so hey, just had some gobble with the family, chilled out, and I know everyone's getting ready for Monday Night Football, so we will do our thing, and I'll let y'all get to it. All right. We got a ton to go over. Tonight. I mean, we got Teddy stuff. I mean, we got some Tua stuff. A guy who I've talked about multiple times on this channel, Dr. David Chow. He had a little thing about Tua Tagovailoa, so I wanted to play that for y'all too. And we're going to go over that because like I've been telling y'all, I've heard since this all went down, Steelers the latest. If we lose the Vikings was a real possibility. And I want you guys to listen to what Dr. David Chow says. Now, again, I know what McDaniel said in his press conference today. I'm well aware of what he said. But, I mean, again, we got to listen to words. So we're going to go over, it's about a 23-minute press conference. I trimmed it down to about 10 minutes. So we're going to go over him talking about Tua, Skylar, Teddy. So a lot of McDaniel stuff to go over. Obviously, as usual, we'll go over the next-gen stats, the PFF grades. They actually didn't have a passing chart for Skylar Thompson this week. I don't know why. They did for Teddy, but go figure. And so I wanted to take a look at Raheem Mostert's running chart because it's actually quite interesting. And as usual, we'll look at Zach Wilson's, which is not impressive at all. Into the next-gen stats, we'll look at the snap counts. We'll do a deep dive into recapping what happened yesterday. But let's first get in to this Teddy stuff because I got clips that we are going to play. And, man, I don't – listen, I'm all for player safety. I'm all for protecting. But we are getting to the point now where I'm seeing things, and if this spotter is not going to give us evidence, you got to give evidence. This cannot just be hearsay. Because, hey, just throwing it out there, what if the spotter is homebred in terms of what if that person's from New York? What if they happen to be a Jets fan? I don't know. Hey, I'm just saying, I need evidence. If y'all got binoculars anyways, put GoPros on top of the binoculars if you got to. I don't care. Because footage is coming out and there is no evidence of Teddy Bridgewater stumbling. I posted a short on the channel already, and I got that plus another clip we'll show you tonight. Real soon here. Listen, I'm starting to get, listen. All right, I always go back to this. And I'm over here saying, listen, like my name is DJ Khaled in the 2000s, early 2000s. All right, my whole thing here is they're making us a poster child. And I feel like this is still repercussions from what happened with the Flores thing and the Ross thing and all that jazz. And now we're getting made into this poster child. And I'm going to say this. Listen, I truly believe this. If you go to the drive that Sanders missed the field goal that Tanner Conner should have caught the ball anyways. But if you go to the missed field goal drive and the drive before that where we got the ball on, I believe, our own 40, 45, we gained about 5 yards. Then we ended up losing that yardage on a penalty and ended up punting it. We would have got points off those two drives with Tua or Teddy. I'm sorry, we just would have. I am a firm believer that we would have got. Teddy could have given us 20 yards. All of a sudden, we're up 2017. And Sanders, even if Sanders was Skylar out there, when Skylar's out there as a rookie, giving it his all, it's clear the nerves were real for Skylar. It's clear, sure, I get he didn't have first team reps, but listen, where we're at in the season right now, there are no longer full padded practices, go at each other, bang helmet on helmet. That doesn't exist. Now we got mainly walkthroughs. So sure, would practice with the ones this week help him? Maybe with his timing, with timing and such with the ones in terms of the weapons. but nothing would have prepared for what we saw in his game. And we'll see it when we look at the All-22 tomorrow, because we will break down Skylar Thompson tomorrow. It was clear and evident that, A, he was not comfortable, and there was multiple reasons why. The speed of the game, like I said, all through preseason where people were anointing him, listen, love the kid's ceiling, but it's one thing to do that against guys who are going to be stocking shelves in the Lowe's this weekend against the elite of the elite come when it counts during the season. When the bullets are flying and you learn what real game speed is, because now it's nothing but elite athletes everywhere. From the guys who are $180 to the guys who are over 320 pounds that move like lightning. No practice we would have been able to have. That's what the preseason, that's why you need to find your, that's why it's so instrumental. I mean, look at the guys who come off the bench in the middle of the season and start ripping it up. Back when Brady did it, guys, there were still practices. The CBA has changed all this stuff. Herbert was an anomaly coming in after that injection and such. Even Tua, remember what his first game? He struggled his first game, but then again, it was against that daunted Rams defense, which is another level from the Jets defense we saw yesterday. Let's be honest with ourselves. And even with his time to prepare, the game speed is a different thing. When you go from college, especially when you're at Kansas State, and now you're dealing with real stuff. Think of how many jabronis he faced in those games that aren't even in the NFL right now. And the kid still gave it his all, but he's just not ready. He showed us he's not ready. So he didn't look comfortable with the game speed, and he also didn't look comfortable reading real, meaningful in-game coverages. This isn't vanilla defenses that you're facing all preseason. He was having serious problems with too high shells yesterday. Now you're getting into the big boy stuff. Now you're getting into it. And they've already installed their defense. They're already good to go. They're good. And look what they're doing. They're stacking the box. At least 8 in the box. And too high over top saying, okay, try and beat us. And you saw indecisiveness in the pocket. You just saw a guy who he couldn't read all 3 levels. And he wasn't comfortable with the game speed. And on top of that, the protection. Y'all realized yesterday real quick how much Tua's pocket presence and awareness really comes into play with the protection. Y'all learned real quick that Tua is a different breed when it comes to that. Skylar just wasn't ready, man, and it's okay. People out here just absolutely annihilating the kid. Stop, man. We knew he was a project. We knew he was a 7th round pick. No one on this channel anointed him a starter. Now, I anointed him QB2 over Teddy because I never thought I'd have to see Skylar. And I said I didn't want to see Skylar or Teddy. So, but here we are. Here we are. And it is what it is. But I digress. Teddy should not have been pulled from that game. And we should never have stopped running as well. Mostert was chewing these guys up like Hubba Bubba bubble gum and just spitting them out, man. Blowing bubbles for big plays and then spitting them out. And you stopped running. Man, the victory was on Mostert's back yesterday. We saw the same thing against the Tennessee Titans. When the whole offense was struggling, and the only guy who got off the bus was Duke. And Duke was screaming, feed me, feed me, feed me. You know what I'm saying? Skylar should have been just play action and just easy, simple, high percentage stuff off of the run. That's it. Don't complicate it. Don't make it over the top. Not drop back and start looking at it for deep shots. No, man. we were running the football. Shout out to Robert Carrillo. He says, I feel bad for the kid reason. So do I. We were running the football. Even evident. Mostert was feed me. All right? And even in the passing game, we're giving Chase Edmonds chances instead of Raheem Mostert. These cats need to forget about the money you spent on Chase Edmonds. Feed Raheem Mostert right now. Raheem the Dream Mostert is who you should be feeding. Right now. With Tua out, this is Raheem. This starts with Raheem, baby. Especially if we go with Skylar this week, which I don't think we will be. But we'll get to all that. Listen, I'm a fan of Skylar. I'm a fan of his development. But see, this is what happened when all these people gassed up this kid and y'all created a division. I kept telling y'all, why are we creating a division between Skylar and Tua when the real conversation we're going to have are Zach Skylar and Christian Wilkins, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, Durham Smythe, Mike Gesicki, Raheem Mostert, Chase Edmonds. These were the real number one battles for us to talk about. Hell, you get with the way Ogba's disappeared and been on a milk carton since he signed his money. You look at Jalen Phillips. Hey, you can say what you want about his sacks or whatever. Leading up to yesterday, he had 10 pressures in the last 2 games. Leading up to yesterday, and you had the 4th best pass rush win rate in the NFL. So you could have the conversation between him and Ogba right now if you really wanted to. At least Ogba's winning. At least Phillips is winning his stuff. It might not be showing up on the stat sheet, but it's showing you he's getting there. And he's getting there. He's getting pressures. So, hey, people got to remember, Boyer's been dropping him back into coverage too, right? So, anyways, I digress. All these people who made this Skylar Tua thing, now this is what happened. I told y'all, why are you putting this kind of pressure on this kid when he's not ready? And now we have our own fan base now crapping on, some of our fan base crapping on Skylar. I keep telling y'all, this is what happens when people are listening to people who do not know the quarterback position. When people do not know how to break down film. Out here acting like they do. On whatever platform, Twitter, YouTube, whatever you want to pick. This is what happened when this misinformation gets out there. And now we got people crapping on him. This poor kid, man, he's a developmental project. I kept telling y'all, next year was when he would solidify himself as the number 2 quarterback. Not this year. I said, if you want to have the conversation between Tua and Skylar, it would be probably more relevant next year because Skylar would at least be probably number 2 and Teddy would be gone. That's exactly what I said. And y'all did it a year too early, and then everyone saw the kid from Kansas State that wasn't ready yet, and now we got this poor kid who put his heart on the line, who busted his ass, and now people are crapping on him, man. Ridiculous. All because these other people who don't know what they're talking about set these expectations all the way up here. Stop. This is what I tell y'all. Stop handling, stop buying into the fool's gold. Poor kid. But Teddy, though, the NFL with this spotter, they need to explain something here because I think we need video evidence. If you're going to remove these guys on stumbling, what we're going to show you guys here, you need video evidence. You need video evidence. So that's where you need, that's what you need to talk about here. You know, if we're going to get into all this stuff, we need visual evidence. Because remember, we all saw Teddy when he was walking to the back. They showed up close of him and he was shaking his head. And it wasn't like shaking cobwebs. It was like he looked pissed, right? He looked back at the field and was shaking his head. And it was clearly because he'd been told you stumbled. He probably looked at him like, what? I didn't stumble. And because of that, you know, here we are. Here we are, man. So let's take a look at some of the angles that have since been released about Teddy. And we got a couple of them to look up. We got one from a little bit of a distance that wasn't shown, and then we got another one zoomed in on him, and we'll show both. One of them I've already shared as a short. The other one is a little bit farther away, and you see the whole setting. Shout out to Craig. He said, should have kept running Mostert and Gaskin and quick slants to Hill and Waddle. Greg, thank you very much. Does anyone remember Jared Goff's first ever NFL game? I do. It was against us. Who remembers that? Justin Vandenberg. Hey, reason I just tuned in. One of you heard about Tua. We're going to get into the Tua stuff in a minute here, Justin. All right? We're going to get into that in a minute here. Who remembered Jared Goff first game? Raise your freaking hand. It was against us. And what was it? Slant, 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 slant. And I got to add this. Gaskin has shown himself to be, in a limited sample size, more effective. He has better vision than Chase Edmonds, better burst than Chase Edmonds, better reliable hands. Chase Edmonds was supposed to be this pass catching, and how many key drops does Chase Edmonds have now? Let's go back to Thursday Night Football. Tua's probably not pushing the ball as hard if Chase Edmonds catches that football, because now all we need is 3 to go ahead. We're no longer needing 7 to go ahead with that second drive. I'm just saying. So, great point there. The way with Gaskin was showing, I agree. Gaskin and Mostert mix them in. And then quick slants, play action stuff, quick stuff. You got to get the ball out of a young guy's hand quick. That's what you got to do. You got to force that ball out quick. Because if you give him these deep reads, he's just going to sit there and he's going to be confused by what he's seeing on all 3 levels more than likely. 90% chance with a kid who played at Kansas State as a 7th round pick coming into live action, he's going to be confused against especially a Robert Saleh-led defense. So you got to help him out, man. You got to get the ball out of his hands quicker too, right? There is stuff here. So, it's not fully on Skylar. Let's be honest here too. So, watch out. Look at me. Reasons being consistent holds Tua and Skylar to the same standard. Look at that. What a surprise. All right. Now, let's take a look at these Teddy angles, all right? So, let's take a look at this first one. I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it over my shoulder right here, right by the Don Shula picture. Y'all will see it. I got 2 videos. Let's play them. All right, first one. This is the far away angle. All right, so you see there's it's focusing on Teddy. You can see Teddy in the background. Teddy's good. Teddy's up. Teddy's in the back there walking. He's good. Teddy walking over to the ref. Look at Teddy talking to the ref with the offense. We're good. No stumble. Look at that. Fixes his play band. He's walking off. Teddy's good. Oh, tell me where he stumbled. Someone show me where he stumbled. Next one. Let's look at Teddy here. This is fully on Teddy. I'm sorry. Someone show me where the stumble gate, baby. Show me where the stumble is. Show me where the stumble is. There is no stumble whatsoever. Like, we need some, I don't want, you can tell me you saw a bald-headed American Eagle through your sets of binoculars and we're just going to take these people at their word. They saw a pterodactyl flying over MetLife Stadium because the spotter saw it in his binoculars. We're just taking people's word here now, especially when it's this sensitive and there's implications on the line. And I agree with what Miami Kid Jay just said. The stumble needs to be egregious. Come on, right here. Where are we even seeing even a slight stumble? Someone show me this. Someone show me this. No one can. That's what's absolutely crazy to me. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I need to see a stumble here. I need visual evidence, people. I'm sorry. I just gave y'all two different angles. One from distance, one totally focused on Teddy Bridgewater. It zoomed in, and did anyone see a stumble? I mean, am I Mr. Magoo and I don't know it? Listen, I'm not one. Listen, are there conspiracy theories out there I believe in? Sure. But I'm usually not one to bring conspiracy theories into sports. Talk about trying to make us the poster child, eh? I mean, I can't find out another reason. Can someone else help me? I mean, there is going to need to be, I don't know what's going to happen. A bunch of gamblers need to come through because these guys are killing their parlays and come with a freaking lawsuit. Hitting the NFL with this stuff. I don't know. Something has to happen. Players are going to be labeled as injury prone by this protocol, and that's going to hurt their money long term. Like, this is just. I mean, the spotters are bookies. There needs to be. I mean, if we're gonna hold players under this kind of magnifying glass, are we not going to hold the ones who take care of them under the magnifying glass too? I'm just saying. Are we all going to hold everyone to the same standard here? I mean, I didn't even see the guy stumble one step. I didn't even see maybe we could. There's not even a maybe we could have the conversation. Like, when you really don't believe it, but you're like, okay, I'll entertain it. There's not even that. Tell me where I'm wrong. There's not even that. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. So, there you go. Dolphins file a grievance. Ridiculous. And they asked them today, and I cut the clip out because we're not filing an appeal on the intentional grounding. That should not be an intentional grounding because even under the rule book, like, if your throwing motion is impeded by contact, by a defensive player like that, it's no longer intentional. You know what I mean? The ball just ain't going anywhere. So we're not appealing any of it. I mean, they asked him about it today. So I know a lot of people have been asking, okay, hey, what's going on with Tua? What's the latest you've heard on with Tua? Listen, nothing's changed from my side. This is what I've heard and I've said from day one. I heard the Steelers the latest. If we lose to the Jets, the Vikings are a real possibility. That's what I've heard. That really hasn't changed much. We'll get into McDaniel's presser later on, but it hasn't really changed much, right? So anyways, I got a clip here I want to play from you guys from Dr. David Chow, because remember yesterday, I was talking on the panels, and this is just my opinion now. I haven't checked this out with anyone. This is my opinion. I believe that, this isn't just my opinion. This is facts, at least from people I talked to last week. When Barry Jackson was talking about clearing all these protocols and he's clearing all these tests and they're coming back negative, he was talking about him going through concussion protocols. Barry Jackson even tweeted out yesterday that he seeked 3 different opinions and all these tests are coming back negative. I'm telling you right now, they are building the evidence with these 3 different opinions for him to play this week. This is my opinion now. This is not speculation. This is my opinion. This is pure speculation. This is not me coming from a source. This is me telling you what I feel right now based on what I've deduced. Now, as the week goes on, I will check in with my people and learn more. But what I'm saying from what I'm feeling out from the situation, I think they're trying to build the evidence for him to go sooner rather than later. Now, I know what McDaniel said today, but again, McDaniel said all he said and did not rule him out. So until I see him ruled out for this week, I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear nothing. Until I hear him ruled out, it's over, peace, gone, done. I don't want to hear nothing. So I still think this is a real possibility. And this is what I've talked about him multiple times on this channel. He was a team, I believe he was the lead team physician for the San Diego Chargers back when like Phillip Rivers and such was there. Dr. David Chow, Pro Football Doc, you know, he does a lot of stuff for like FanDuel and stuff like that now. And I think they do Sports Injury Center as well. And he does live updates anyways. Anyways, he had a video out today about Tua and his potential of returning this week. And Dr. David Chow is one of those guys where he's usually dead on diagnosing stuff just from seeing videos. Like because he's been in the NFL, he knows what's good. So let's take a look at what he had to say. Again, look at the Shula picture. Take a look at what he had to say. I find this very interesting. Everyone, listen, this game matters. So here we go.
Tua Tagovailoa has a realistic chance to play this week, despite all the controversy and concussion protocol, and here's why. This is Dr. David Chow, Pro Football Doc, Sports Injury Central at sicscore.com. Let's break it down. Tua's concussion, the investigation, the firing of the UNC, new protocols have dominated the news cycle over the last few days and week or two. But despite all of this, here's why we feel Tua actually has a realistic chance to play, more than Teddy Bridgewater. Let's break it down. The investigation results from the NFLPA and NFL investigation did not specifically find any malfeasance from the UNC that was let go by the NFLPA. That is their right. They did not specifically find that Tua had a concussion that first Sunday,
which is
before the Thursday game,
listen what
where
he says
everyone
here.
saw him posturing with
this
the
is
fingers.
big. Listen,
if he did have a second concussion, then he would for sure be ruled out for the entire month of October. He was ruled out early last week. But based on the investigation and based on what the Dolphins are saying, there is no firm word that he has a second concussion. The Dolphins are calling it a first concussion. As such, it does potentially open up the door for him to return. Last week, the Dolphins ruled him out early, and it sort of quelched the firestorm. Now there's a new protocol. As a result of the investigation, what it found is that the Dolphins and the UNC did attribute the, quote, gross motor instability to the back spasm. And this is why he passed the concussion protocol, the rest of it, and was allowed to return. With the new protocol, the main change is you can't find an excuse for that ataxia. So because someone spotted Teddy with the instability or ataxia, he was automatically ruled out. We didn't see it on the TV cameras, but the spotters that are there with binoculars, have a continuous view. And because of that, even though Teddy Bridgewater passed the rest of the concussion protocol, he still was ruled out and placed in the protocol. That's the change. When in doubt, leave them out. You can't have that excuse. Documented neurologic injury was always a rule out. The big change in the protocol is visual neurologic change, ataxia, is enough to roll it out. And that in and of itself, that's the change. And ironic, it's happened to the Dolphins twice. They've been the focus. So why do we think that Tua can actually play? We think that Tua is actually more likely to play than Teddy. Since all the controversy started, There have been quicker rule-outs, not a bad thing, and no player to our knowledge has returned the next week. Prior to the controversy, about 50% of the players, as we tracked it, returned the following week from concussion. Since the Tua controversy, and it's only been the second week now, no player has returned in 1 week due to the heightened senses and the scrutiny about concussions. Thus, it is probably unlikely for Teddy to play. If Tua indeed did not have a second concussion and he tests well, he indeed could be cleared to play.
There you go.
This week.
There you go.
Will the Dolphins try and sit him again and put in Skylar Thompson? They're trying to win a division and they're trying to be competitive.
Remember,
if they firmly believe Tua didn't have a second concussion and it was the first one, and I get most of the world believes he had two, but if their medical exam believes that and the investigation didn't find otherwise, this is why we believe it opens up the door for Tua Tagovailoa to be the Dolphins starting quarterback this week. This is Dr. David Chow. See constant updates for all injury items.
So there you go. Shout out to Dr. David Chow. He always does good work. Right there, he's telling you, like, if the Dolphins don't have it listed as a second concussion, and we've seen Barry Jackson's been updating all of y'all for over a week now that this guy's been having his tests come back negative, and we've heard he's gone to got three different opinions, and they've all came back negative. He's building evidence because he just needs to start. Because again, we're not in full practice. The CBA, these are walkthroughs and such. We're going to be good to go. Tua knows how to run this offense. I'm telling you right now, we are now in must-win mode. We are not 4-1. We are 3-2. And they're going to want to come out of this game 4-2. Especially if X is out as well. I don't think Byron's coming back, obviously. And Teddy will not be, I believe Teddy, because of concussion protocol, would not be cleared until Thursday. I don't know. They're I don't see them giving the reins of this offense to Skylar or Reed Sinnett. I just don't. I think they're trying. I think Tua himself is trying to go. Get ready for it. Even get ready for it. I do think Tua's coming back. I do think Tua's coming back, man. And just all signs. I mean, we'll get into what McDaniel said. But again, he said what he said today and he didn't rule him out. Remember, they ruled Tua out last Monday. Remember, we all talked about, wow, they ruled him out real early on a Monday. They didn't rule him out this Monday, did they? I don't know, man. I don't know. I think this could go down to the wire if they're going to rule him out. I think we might not hear about it till Friday or game day. Really. I think they're going to try and get him to go. I mean, tell me where the evidence isn't pointing in the direction of him going. And we'll show you more tonight, but I mean, look at they don't have him ruled. They do not have this ruled as a second concussion. That's the key factor. If it was a second concussion and that was second impact syndrome, we would not be seeing him. But they have it listed, and he's right. The investigation found no malpractice or nothing here involved. Found no negligence. It was labeled as a back injury. Just saying. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Guys, let's get into it. Please smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. 320 of you in the room. We're on our way to 10K. Please smash that like button. Subscribe. I appreciate each and every one of you for joining me on this Monday night. Let's get into the snap count. And, we always get into snap counts. As usual, we'll start off with the offense. What are my thoughts on Cedric Wilson? If they would have known what they've known, I don't think they would have paid him or Gesicki. That's what my thoughts are on both of them if you want them. Now, in terms of offense here, let's look at what we got. All right, so look at Mike Gesicki. going up into the 50s after being in the 40s last week in terms of percentage, seeing 54% of the snaps. He actually outsnapped Durham Smythe for the first time this season. Raheem Mostert saw 69% of the snaps. Clearing away, running back one, as Edmonds only saw 15% of the snaps. Gaskin actually ended up outsnapping Chase Edmonds by the end of it, 13-10. Taron Armstead, obviously, big investment. And guess what? Only saw 8 snaps from him. Obviously not ideal. There is no doubt about that. Now, let's look at defensively what we got here. When we take a look at it, look at this. Kadir Kahu, Nick Needham saw 100% of the snaps, as did Javon Holland and Jerome Baker. Kadir Kahu and Nick Needham taking on a massive workload with Byron Jones and Xavier Howard out. Shows the trust of this staff and Boyer in them. Noah Benogany mainly saw his snaps in nickel packages. He had 53% of the snaps. He saw 31 snaps in his action, gave up a couple key first downs. And look at Channing Tindall. Look at that, first 2 snaps of the season, and he got a tackle on one of them. Give this man more snaps. Eric Rose, 6 snaps, and still managed to blow coverage. Good for him. You keep looking at Ogba and Phillips. Phillips saw 56% of the snaps. Ogba 64. Got to start doing something with those snaps, boys. We got to start turning those into something, man. Please start turning them into something. It's interesting to see, Gesicki, outsnap Smythe, but when we need a tight end in the most key situation, it's Tanner Connor that gets targeted and it blows up in our face. I mean, who would have saw that coming, huh? Hey, who would have saw that coming? Who would have saw that coming? Oh my God. Let's get into actually, we'll jump back over there. We'll get into the next gen stats. And then we'll do the PFF grades. We'll switch it up a little bit today. We'll start off with Zach Wilson. He was 14 of 21 against, I'm just excited to show y'all Raheem Mostert. That's why. Zach Wilson was actually 14 of 21 for 210 yards. You see the ball distribution. I mean, the guy had 3 completions beyond 10 yards against us. I mean, come on. It was the Breece Hall show. I mean, the Jets had 324 yards. 124 of those were from Breece Hall in the air and on the ground. Stop. And the 79-yard reception to Breece Hall, look, it wasn't even 20 yards downfield. Ridiculous. Unbelievable. Unbelievable that we just got beat by the MILF Hunter, who didn't even do anything against us. Impressive whatsoever. Like, absolute pain. Pain, pain, baby. All right, Raheem Mostert, this is impressive now. Look at this man. Look at where this man is created. He only was tackled for a loss once. Look at this. Unbelievable. Multiple runs of 5+ yards or more, and he had that TD on that right side. Look at how successful he was getting to the outside on either side, whether it was to the left or to the right. 18 carries, 113 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, the guy was just getting it done yesterday. Raheem Mostert was an absolute beast. Raheem the Dream. Oh, man, it was beautiful to watch. Was it not? It was absolutely beautiful to watch that guy work. Because it's not like a 1 week wonder like a Salvin Ahmed. Raheem Mostert had been working his way back from an injury, had been working his way back towards a game like that, and he finally has it. And what's great about it, what's awesome about it is, guys, our offensive line still isn't where it's going to be by the end of the season here. So it should be at a much higher level by the end of the season. And if Raheem Mostert can stay healthy, sky's the limit for that running game with him leading it. I'm just gonna throw that out there. All right, let's take a look at some more next gen stats from inside the game. Skylar Thompson, he had the longest completed air distance for the Dolphins at 33.7. Zach Wilson had a 38-yard completion. Tyreek Hill and Braxton Berrios were the fastest ball carriers. Braxton actually beat out Tyreek, reaching almost 21 miles per hour. Fastest sack was Jerome Baker at 4.2 seconds, and Carl Lawson had his at 4.6. You see there is an actual passing chart for Skylar and Zach. You see Skylar very comfortable, obviously, from inside the 10 to behind the line of scrimmage. Decent on the intermediate level. I mean, 2 for 3. Obviously, when he went deep was where he struggled a little bit. Yes, he drew some DPIs, but there were some very questionable throws. Zach Wilson just really beat us inside the 10. I mean, his numbers show that right there. Let's Raheem Mostert, look at this, man. Raheem Mostert just killing it off the edges, especially to that right edge. Had a little success running inside the gaps. Myles Gaskin, though, now he only had 4 carries for 9 yards, but he was trying to make something happen. Got to appreciate it, right? As far as Breece Hall, look at a nice even game for Breece Hall. Had success off the edge, inside the gaps. Didn't matter, 18 carries, 97 yards, and a touchdown. Obviously, the kid that I love the most in that draft at that position is going to have his coming out party against us. I mean, I said he was a problem. I just didn't. Yeah. Anyways. The disappointment is real. Imagine him and Raheem Mostert. Oh, my God. So the league average for separation, average receiver separation is about 2.92 yards. Sherfield averaged about 3.26. Hill averaged, they're saying 0 yards. I don't know what they're talking about. Cedric Wilson, 2.6 yards. Waddle, 3.6. Gesicki, 1.68. Corey Davis, 2.56. Garrett Wilson, 2.87. Uzuma, 3.35. Elijah Moore, 2.94. Conklin, their tight end, 0.67. Average separation from quarterback when the league average is about 4.53 yards. Christian Wilkins is only about 3.64. Ingram, 3.88. Zach Skylar, I don't know why that reset. Zach Skylar was almost there too. I believe he was, let me bring that back up. I have no idea why that reset. Zach Skylar was 4.13, so he's under the league average as well. Ogba was a 4.24. Carl Lawson was way under the league average at 3.27. He's actually the lowest out of everyone in the game. Quinnen Williams, 4.54. Jonathan Franklin Myers, 5.08. Sheldon Rankins, 5.77. So we kept them pretty well, pretty off. But, I mean, look at the average league separation compared, our defensive pass rush. We were almost there. Almost there. So that's it for the next gen stats. That said, you know what? Let's go ahead. I believe we will jump in to let's get into the PFF grades. All right. And the PFF grades are as follows. Let's start off with pass blocking for the Miami Dolphins. I wanted to show you guys this. Wasn't pretty. We were back to the old way. 25 pressures. Brandon Shell gave up 7. He gave up 4 QB hits and 3 hurries. Greg Little gave up 5 pressures. Robert Hunt gave up 4. Eichenberg gave up 4. Connor Williams gave up 3. And then Gesicki and Taron Armstead gave up 1 each. not a good day in pass pro at all for the Miami Dolphins. So let's look. Okay, so let's look at Week 15 last year, just for an example. Just last year in Week 15, the Miami Dolphins gave up 7 pressures against them. 7 pressures. Unacceptable. 25 pressures. Brandon Shell, I mean, the All-22 is going to show us everything, come out tonight, show us everything we need to know, but not good. Overall offensive grades for the Miami Dolphins, Robert Hunt managed with a 48.1 pass blocking grade because his run blocking grade was so well. Managed to be your highest graded guy. Cedric Wilson was number 2. Tyreek Hill was also number 2. How was Raheem Mostert a 62.8? Someone explain to me this. See, this is where I don't get their little grading system. This guy goes absolutely off, and 113 yards and a touchdown, and gets a 60. Look at his run grade, a 69. Didn't even crack a 70. See, this is where I got my issues with PFF, and I will continue to have my issues with PFF. Myles Gaskin had a better grade than him. Ridiculous. Skylar, 58.2, not really good. Bottom guys, Tanner Connor, 29.5. Chase Edmonds, 30.1. Shell, 45.3. Greg Little, 46.1. Liam Eichenberg, 48.7. So not pretty. When you look at, let's look at Skylar. This was his passing chart by them. They had him 2 for 3 from the intermediate level. And they had him 1 for 4 deep. Obviously inside the 10 and back, he was pretty efficient for them. When Skylar was kept clean, he was 11 for 14 for 106 yards. When he was under pressure, he was 8 of 19 for 60 yards and an interception. Play action, he was 2 for 6 for 14 yards. No play action, he was 17 of 27 for 152 yards. He struggled. I mean, you look at it, even when he was kept clean, his yards per attempt was 7.6 and his average depth of target was 7.3. His average depth of target went to 7.1 when he was under pressure, but his yards per attempt went all the way down and plummeted to 3.2. He was it was not pretty when he was under pressure. It was not pretty when he was under pressure. He was under pressure a total of 21 times. Right here, you can see 21 times he was under pressure, sacked twice. The pressure to sack percentage was about 9.5, so almost 10% of the time he was pressured, it actually did turn into a sack. And you saw he just doesn't have the pocket awareness and comfort and maneuverability. He just doesn't have that, right? All right, defensively, your highest grade defender was Zach Seiler at a 75.9. Christian Wilkins was number 2 at a 70.5. Jerome Baker was number 3 at a 66.8. Melvin Ingram at 65.4 was number 4. Sam McGuavin was number 5 at a 63.9. Eric Rowe was your worst graded defender at a 26.5. John Jenkins at 37.4. Kadir Kahu at 41.7. Noah Benogany finishes in the bottom 5, surprise, surprise, at a 42.9. And Javon Holland, who I said he's been clearly struggling. He has not been good this season so far. Javon Holland, it has not been a pretty season so far for him. I don't know what's going on with him. Anyways, continuing on. Let's get into coverage matchups. You look at Kadir Kahu, he was targeted 4 times, and he allowed 4 receptions for 26 yards and 3 first downs. Brandon Jones, he was targeted 4 times, allowed 4 receptions for 34 yards and 2 first downs. Noah Benogany, he was targeted 3 times, allowed 1 reception to Corey Davis for 17 yards and a first down. Nick Needham allowed 1 reception on 2 targets for 21 yards and a first to Corey Davis. Jerome Baker, allowed a 21-yard reception to Breece Hall out of the backfield, but when he was challenged in pass coverage against Tyler Conklin, that went to no avail. So he was allowed 1 reception on 2 targets, and he also had a pass breakup against Tyler Conklin. Michael Carter had a reception for 6 yards against Andy Van Ginkel. Eric Rowe blew it against Breece Hall. We've been talking about it since it happened, for 79 yards and that long touchdown. Michael Carter had his lone target caught for 6 yards against Landon Roberts. And, yep, that's just what it is. Eric Rowe. We expected better from you. Need to get better out of that guy. That's for sure. That is for sure. All right, guys, finally, last thing I want to go over here. Let's go over what Mike McDaniel had to say. And let's go over what Mike McDaniel, we'll go over his little transcript, and we'll go over everything that he said from today in his little media availability, all right? Let me play that for you guys.
Sorry, guys.
So has Tua been ruled out for Sunday against Minnesota?
Tua, right now, I'm not even really thinking about his timeline. As I said before, we're just trying to get him as healthy as possible. We're
You won't
pretty
commit
much
for a reason.
12 to 24 hour reoccurring evaluation process, and he's doing well. He was here today, but he has not he's not ready to take the step to do some football stuff yet. So that will be talk to me in every 12 to 24 hours.
Because he's being evaluated every 12 to 24 hours.
Teddy, he had no symptoms today. He had no symptoms yesterday. But per the rule change, he's being treated as though he has a concussion. And so he's in the subsequent protocol.
So there you go. There's your updates.
A couple of offensive line questions. Teron Armstead, what are you hearing? And is he back in South Florida? And then Austin Jackson.
He's back in South Florida. I think the visit went well. And, the one thing I've learned with Teron is I can trust him as much as I've ever trusted any player. So I know one thing, he will do whatever it takes to play Sunday. And the one thing that myself, the coaching staff, and his teammates know is if he's not able to play, it's because he's physically unable to play. So trust in that process, and excited that he's taken a step to get that thing healthy. And then what was the Austin Jackson? The plan is to hopefully we plan and hope to see him practice this week in a limited role. But he's done a great job getting himself back so that we could even consider that.
There you go.
This week.
There's your
in the
update.
past hour or so, we've seen a couple of videos from some of the local TV stations showing Brigewater after the safety. And in those videos, at least from what we could see from those angles, we did not see him stumble.
Mm-hmm.
What have you been able to see on video so far? Have you seen anything that indicates a stumble or doesn't indicate any stumble whatsoever?
Well, I mean, I don't really concern myself with all of that, just because I was there at the game. I was watching him intently. It was the first offensive play of the game, and I didn't see him stumble, but I'm also not really in the business.
So polite of saying that you didn't see it, McDaniel.
Grading and coaching spotters. the rules in place for player safety, and I'm all about that. Honestly, so whether he stumbled or not, the rules are the rules. And my only takeaway from the whole process was really my personal relationship with Teddy, and Teddy was very prepared to play that game, and he put a lot into it, and he just I was excited to see him play, and my heart hurt that he was unable to execute something he was very prepared for, and his teammates were excited to see him play. So,
can you quantify, or sorry, were you going to follow?
Yeah, just real quick regarding Teddy. Given the area that he's in now, where he's not showing symptoms, but he's in the protocol, what would be the soonest that he could possibly participate in practice, and how reluctant would you be to play a quarterback if he hadn't practiced the previous week?
Well, as far as the protocol, that's for good reason. The coaches aren't involved in that, so I know in a perfect world where there's absolutely no setbacks with anything. Again, this is kind of uncharted territory for us. The soonest that you can be on the field in a limited capacity, non-contact, would be Thursday. However, I have, I'm not going to try to guess if that's going to come true or not. This is, again, I just do the best with the situation given and try not to spend my time worrying about things that I can't control as best I can.
Mike, a couple of your cornerbacks, Xavier and Byron Jones, are you optimistic for this week for them?
I'm again, no setbacks. I'm not sure. I don't expect to see Byron this week.
There you go. No Byron.
I don't. X had we were happy with where he was at today, and he's a guy that he's fully embraced his captain's role. He takes it very serious, and it pained him to not be on the field with his teammates, much like it did the other three captains that weren't playing, or 2.5. His arms had dropped. So I know for a fact that he, like the other captains that are on the sidelines, will do everything possible to be ready for Sunday, and we'll see him if he's ready to go.
Let's go.
Mike, are you moving
X,
forward
come on, baby,
this
we
week
need
with
you.
practices and everything with the assumption that Skylar will be the starter on Sunday?
Oh, here we go.
I'm moving forward to
Here we go.
on. It's too soon for me to really
See,
pinpoint
he's
that.
non-committal on the quarterback
there's,
position for a reason, people.
Again, I kind of have to
Telling y'all.
wait and assess the whole situation, which I do not have in scope. What I do know is that Skylar will be practicing on Wednesday, and hopefully Wednesday I'll have a better feel of the direction that we should go that's best for the football team.
There you go.
Some of the film from last night, what did you like about what Skylar did?
I really respected the fact of how, being a backup quarterback in this league is not easy. And what people don't understand is you can't have you have to have a finite amount of reps during the week, because you can't deplete your athletes and you can't have endless amount of reps. So typically, starters get anywhere from 80 to 100% of the practice reps. So a backup quarterback, especially a rookie, tremendous challenge.
Yep.
Because you have to own the whole game plan, visualize it, be able to call it, be able to line people up, and then execute appropriately. I think he was way on top of the game plan in a way that I don't think that typically I'm used to rookies being on top of. And I think he he was also frustrated with his play, but confident that it was more of like a frustration in the moment, like my feet are messed up, but that wasn't the right timing. Overall, it's exactly what I thought it would be, where I left the game knowing that the game is not too big for him, and that was probably, if he has any say in it, that was probably the worst that he will feel like he'll perform as a professional, and that was good enough to win. So I was very happy with the player because it takes a lot of prep, and it's a big stage that everyone's not up for.
When you say it's too soon to pinpoint Skylar Thompson if he'll be starting, is that only because of the availability of Tua and Teddy Bridgewater, or does Reed Sinnett factor into that?
Well, you guys didn't bring up Cedric Wilson. No, there's just like too many variables right now for my head to even absorb. I think those decisions are important, and without a shadow of a doubt, I'll make that with the best interest in the football team. But there are literally too many variables that I don't feel comfortable going down that road. But hopefully in the next couple of days I will.
So there you go. It sounds like by Wednesday we're going to get our answer. And look at, he's non-committal to Tua being out. He's non-committal to naming a starter. He's even non-committal to Skylar Thompson at this point right now. Let's just call a spade a spade. He's just not ready to commit to anything right now. So, listen, I don't know how this is going to work out. I really don't. I do think there's a chance that there's a good chance Tua is probably going to go this week. But I think it's also what Tua is pushing for. People need to understand that this is not going to be a decision taken lightly by this team or by our quarterback given the microscope that they're under right now. I just think given the circumstances, there is a very good chance, and do not be surprised if you see him this week. Now, I know everyone's going to have their thoughts of, it's kind of like what Dr. Chow said. Everyone thinks he had 2 concussions, but, it's clear the Dolphins, under the belief he only had 1, that he never had a second concussion. So people are going to need to, relax a little bit here. Going to need to relax. Going to have to let it play out. Tua, we're gonna have an idea on Thursday, and like you said, Teddy, the earliest he can practice is on. We're gonna have an idea on Wednesday, and the earliest Teddy can practice is on Thursday. But again, those are just going to be simple walkthroughs. Those are going to be nothing exorbitant. Those aren't going to be ridiculous level of intensity practices that these guys are going through this week, anyways, right? So. Me, where I'm at, I just want Tua to be healthy. If Tua is healthy, play him. If he's not ready yet, don't rush him back. I mean, one thing I did think we all learned is that, Tua is the heart of this offense right now. This man keeps that thing beating. I mean, it's one thing to have all those weapons. It's another thing to have no one to get those guys the weapons. And Tua knows how to get everyone all those weapons, the football, and to make it happen. He knows how and when to let our playmakers eat and when to feed them. And it was evident. Listen, Skylar, if he goes this week and he has another week of practice, listen, I think you'll see better than what we saw, but I don't think we're going to see drastic improvement. This guy's throwing for 250 yards. I mean, it was pretty ugly for there a little bit until they got really ahead of us, and then they started going into like a prevent defense and just giving them yardage. I remember at one point he only had like 67 yards on like 12 completions. So, the other thing too is when you know who you're going to be starting with, you're going to base that install and that game plan around their strengths and weaknesses. Last week was installed around Teddy Bridgewater. Skylar again had to go and execute a game plan and an install where he not only didn't get a lot of reps for, it wasn't even meant for him. and it didn't play to his strengths. And like, I see a lot of people out here killing his arm for the underthrows on the DPIs on Twitter and YouTube and stuff like that. Everyone just needs to relax and back off Skylar, man. He's a 7th round pick. He's a developmental project. Man, we all knew he wasn't ready to be the guy this year. We all knew he was not going to be the one to lead us to the promised land. We all knew it. Just let this kid grow and let him get better under this coaching staff. So, and I agree with you, Jim. All those extra medical opinions are so Tua has no doubts, but also he's got more evidence of saying, see, here, this isn't just your people that have cleared me. My own people have cleared me, right? So you got to respect Tua. He's crossing his T's and dotting his I's, right? All right, tomorrow night, guys, I'm going to be back with Martin, ball game. It's going to be Skylar Thompson Tuesday on Finside the NFL. We're going to break down every single Skylar Thompson drop back. We're going to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're going to break it down for y'all. We're going to see the stuff we liked, where he needs to improve, what they might have saw on film when they looked at him. We're going to deep dive into it tomorrow. We'll break down the Skylar Thompson footage. Y'all already know what time it is, baby. I appreciate each and every one of you for coming out if you're Canadian. Happy Thanksgiving. If you're American or anywhere else in this world, happy Monday. I hope you have a fantastic week. I will see y'all tomorrow. Y'all already know what time it is. All day, every day, even beyond the grave in which we'll lay. Fins up, baby. I will see y'all tomorrow with the homie Martin and ball game. Let's break it down. The first edition of Thompson Tuesday on Finside the NFL. I'll see y'all tomorrow, guys.